separate families. Mr. Trump said, quote, "We have no choice. When people have killed and murdered, they're not staying here. There is no price tag." Lester.
And I know he told you he's spoken to about 70 world leaders since his election win.
That's right, Lester. Among them, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Ukraine's President Zelensky. I asked if Russian President Putin had called. He said they had not spoken, but he anticipates they will. During the campaign, Trump vowed he could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, but has not said how. Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. And who will surround Donald Trump in a second term? Senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson joins me now. And Hallie, some late-breaking news tonight.
Yeah, Lester, good evening to you. The president-elect says he's chosen his new White House chief of staff, Susie Wiles, a longtime Florida political operative who helped run the Trump campaign. She will be the first woman to serve in that role, and it's just the start of more announcements to come. Transition talks tonight ramping up with President-elect Trump's first meeting with his team on who will help execute his agenda, according to a senior official, including Secretary of State. Under consideration, according to multiple sources, former National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, signaling he'd follow through with Mr. Trump's pledge to quickly end the war in Ukraine, despite critics' concerns that could embolden Russia to seize more territory.
At the end of the day, what we are funding here is a stalemate war.
Also in the mix, former Ambassador to Germany Rick Grenell, controversial and combative.
If you want to avoid war, you better have a son of a bitch as the Secretary of State.
Mr. Trump's first term saw more turnover than any administration in decades. 20-plus cabinet-level positions changing hands. At the Pentagon, Mr. Trump may tap Congressman Mike Waltz or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to lead the Defense Department, where the expectation, as one Trump ally put it, is a purge across the board. Military officials, replaced with generals Mr. Trump believes would be more aligned with his goals.
I believe his policies are good for the United States, good for our national security, and good for maintaining America's leadership around the world.
Former Trump officials Mark Pauletta or Matt Whitaker could take on the job of Attorney General to dissolve any remaining federal prosecutions of Mr. Trump, defend controversial Trump policies like on immigration from likely court challenges, and serve as the leading edge for any push to investigate the president-elect's political enemies, as Mr. Trump has suggested, like the Biden family.
When I get back in office, I will appoint a real special prosecutor to investigate every detail of the Biden crime family of corruption.
But one position that seems safe at the moment, chair of the Federal Reserve, with Jerome Powell serving out a second four-year term, saying today Mr. Trump is not legally permitted to fire him.
If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
As for the rest of the Trump inner circle, it could include former rivals like Doug Burgum and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who tells NBC News that for the next couple months, he's staying in the Palm Beach area, close to the transition action. Lester?
Hallie Jackson, thanks. From President Biden, a far different tone about his successor today, addressing the nation for the first time since Trump's victory, all while the debate grows among Democrats over why they lost. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House.
Speaking publicly for the first time since Donald Trump's sweeping election victory, President Biden telling Americans he's spoken to the president-elect.
I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition.
After a grueling campaign where the president described Trump in stark terms,
Trump is a threat to this nation.
It's a threat to our democracy.
Today, a more unifying tone.
We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win.
He urged Americans to lower the political temperature.
I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent.
He also praised what he called Vice President Harris's inspiring campaign. But within the Democratic Party, a difficult postmortem is already underway.
Democrats have to do some real soul-searching.
Privately, some Democrats are blaming the president for not dropping out of the race sooner. A top Harris campaign official deleted his social media account after taking an apparent swipe at the president, writing, "We dug out of a deep hole, but not enough." Still, Philadelphia's Democratic chairman blames poor decisions by the Harris campaign for losing Pennsylvania.
I don't think that the Democrats that live in the city related to her.
Some Democrats are also urging the party to move to the center.
The far left is pressuring the party to take policy positions that are deeply unpopular